This programme was produced and first aired on Access Manawatu with support from New Zealand On Air.
Community Access Radio. Access Manawatu.
Welcome to Manawatu Metalheads Radio. Local, national and international on Access Manawatu 999 AM.
This is a heavy metal disclaimer.
This show may contain content which may offend someone out there. These are views reflected by the presenters and not that of the station. Feel free to contact us if you have any issues.
All good. It's all good.
I wanted to, first off, thank you very much for your time today, and talk to you a little bit about touring, because you're about to come down under very shortly.
We are. We can't wait. We've got a great affiliation down there. I used to live there for 10 years. They're down in Sydney, and so did our keyboard player, Phil Lanson, and in fact, he's got an Australian lady who lives with over in England. So we've got family there, we've got friends, fans, the works. So we cannot wait to go over there.
Excellent. Well, I'm actually from New Zealand, and that's where I'm calling from tonight. And you're coming down here as well, which is an absolute coup. But the fact is that you've been here several times already, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I think the first time we came was in 1974, funny, way back then. And that was great. That was what they called it, the British Invasion Week, something like that. And it was like Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Friday night Uriah Heep, Saturday night Status Quo, Sunday Black Sabbath, something like that it was. And it went to each city with that. So it was a fantastic time, yeah. So, yeah, we come since 74. But, there's been a big hiatus where we didn't come, and that was purely because, we didn't get the invite to come over there. But, we're really pleased that we're building the market again.
Oh, well, you're always welcome here, and we're absolutely ecstatic that you are coming back down again. I know there is a lot of fans out there that are absolutely brimming at the cup, waiting for you guys to get here, and,
Well, that's good to hear, mate. Really good to hear.
Excellent. Well, yeah. Well, hey, dude, 24 studio albums so far and still going, what is it that gives you guys that longevity? 24 albums, man, that's a big haul.
I think it's a couple of things, really. I think it's just having, we've still got the same passion and energy for our music we've always had, and that's kind of our driving force. And the fact that over the years we've had a lot of good songs that have stood the test of time, but people still like hearing in the live arena, like the July Mornings, the Easy Livings, and, the Gypsies and Lady in Black, stuff like that, So, and that gives us a springboard to bring out new music. So really, you come and see your Uriah Heep show, and you get sort of run through our career, which I think is great.
Well, that's it. And, you've got so much good old material, but you've also got the new material coming through. It must be pretty cool to be able to bring that through, especially now that you being the only single member that from the original lineup. It must be to an extent your baby, and then to be bringing these other people into the fold and bringing it forth, so to speak. It must be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, as long as I'm there, the spirit of Uriah Heep will always be there, and I think everyone jumps on board with that when they come into the band, and I think it's just wonderful that it's lasted this long, but I guess it's just that those reasons, and it's like when we put a set list together, we're very aware that the songs that were big worldwide, as I said before, even that, Free Me and Stealing and things like that, as well as, the other songs I mentioned. And you use that as a basis for a set, and then you get a new album out, you put some of those new songs and they freshen it up, and then we go back in our back catalogue and we look at a few songs we haven't done before, or maybe not in a long while, and bring them into the fold. So it really becomes really fresh and exciting to play. And doing the classics with the soon-to-be classics is great, and it's a good buzz.
Oh, I can't can only just imagine. And I mean, I was lucky enough to talk to Bernie just not so long ago, and one of the things he talked about was how you guys are still a band in the traditional sense. You know, I mean, nowadays there's a lot of this disjointed, just everybody sending different emails and sending files here, there, and everywhere. And he talked a lot about how you guys still performed as a band, you still toured as a band.
I hate that. You know, I hate that. You know, sharing files. It's so cold, and there's no real heart and soul in it when you do things like that. You know, we like to do things as a band, and we go into one room in this recording studio and we record it right there and then. You know, what we do is work up a track, and then we go in and we work it in the arrangements we're really happy with, and we press the record button. In 2 or 3 takes, we've got our backing track, you know. But it's all on one pulse then, and it's honest, it's real, and it comes through, I think. And I think that you know, there's a great honesty with that, you know. Sharing files and doing things piecemeal is just all wrong. And the other thing is getting a producer that understands that, you know, when you choose the take that you want to work on, you know, you choose it because you love it for what it is. But most producers go in and then they start putting the bass drum on the one, and then the keyboards on the one, and the guitars on the one. And in the end, they've polished it so much that they've lost all the magic that was there in the first place. But we leave it. When we say, look, this is their choice, then that's it, you know, because if it sounds good then, it will sound good later on. You know, people sometimes in search of perfection lose the magic that was there in the first place.
Well, that's totally it, and the fact of being able to record as a band, I mean, it gives you that life experience, and for me as a fan of music, that's what I love, is going to the gig, seeing the band play, and, you know, seeing it as a band, you know, the vibe, the energy, you know, that's not something
it's vibe and energy and everything, you know, and if there's a little speed up here and a speed down, or slow down, it's because it feels good to do it, you know. You're not tied to those restricted, you know, everything on the one business.
Oh, no,
it annoys me.
It's right, eh?
And that's how we used to do it. Look, if we're perfectly honest, that's how we used to do it in the early days. That's how Zeppelin did it. That's how Purple did it. That's how Sabbath did it. And they're the bands that have stood the test of time and still around. You know, their music is still here, and people love it.
Well, that's right, and you look at a lot of the bands that are coming through now, and they're citing their influences, and you know, that's it. They look at those bands that were bands rather than, you know, this sending email carry on, which is, I mean, it's got its place, but at the same time, you know, it just doesn't give you that same vibe. And
no, absolutely, and it's the vibe, and you know, you've got to feel the energy and the passion the band that has as a whole. You know, and you don't get that if you do it piecemeal. To me, it's not a band. You know, it's very convenient to do that because, you know, I don't know. Some people just love that side of the business, you know, but I just get a buck against it. You know, it's like, you know, I'll use the digital world when I have to, but the analog world is the place I like to live in.
Well, it's reality.
Who said that? Joe Walsh. There you go. He says it all in one go. On his latest album, Analog Man.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. I was actually going to ask you a little bit about that, and who some of your influences and who some of your heroes would be. I mean, because you've been
when I started as a guitarist, obviously that's my standpoint as a guitarist. I came through, and it was more jazzers like Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow, Les Paul, Mary Ford, Django Reinhardt. And then I kind of got into the rock side of it with people like Buddy Holly and Eddie Cochran and that side of things. And then it kind of grew from there, you know. Jeff Beck will probably be my all-time favourite guitarist because as a guitarist, he is a total one with the instrument. And I explained it like this. Lots of people wear a guitar and play well, but not many wear the guitar and it becomes them. You know, and that's what I try to achieve when I play guitar, and certainly Jeff Beck does that too. So that's that. But musical influences, I guess the band that influenced Heep more to create the sound that we did was probably the Vanilla Fudge. who were a great
Excellent.
band, but were great arrangements, but they just didn't have any, many original songs. They used to do, covers of "You Keep Me Hanging On" and stuff like that. But the actual sound was great, and that's where I fell in love with the hammered organ, which is now part of our part of our sound, because it's such a versatile instrument. It can be very romantic, it can be very powerful and aggressive, and it suits all the dynamics we have in our music. So you put that with the wah-wah guitar and 5-part harmonies, and you've got the template for what Uriah Heep's all about.
Oh, that's absolutely outstanding. I was going to ask you, because I see on your website that you have your own personal one, that you have a huge amount of guitars. I also see that you have a cool picture of you with Jeff Beck. Have you actually got to play with Jeff Beck?
Sorry, what guitar?
Times? Oh, sorry, I was actually going to ask you which were your favourite guitars, because you've got a whole heap of guitars. Yeah.
Favourite? Well, it's got to be the Les Paul Black Beauty, without fail. And I've got a few of those, but I used to take them around the world with me, but they got bashed up by airlines and it was getting terrible. So I found this company in Canada with a guy called Mike Carparelli, and I got in touch with him, and he sent me over one of these guitars to try. And I'm often giving guitars to try because they want to use your name for the sponsorship and stuff like that. But I gave it to my crew guys. He said, look, just give it to me in a couple of numbers, and when I give you the nod, we'll go back to the givos. And I kept it on for about 3 weeks. It was that good. And so my all-time favourite guitar would be the Les Paul Black Beauty Custom. But my on-the-road guitar is equally as good, the Carparelli S4, they're called. And they're absolutely brilliant, and they're great workmanship and great care and love. And since I know Mike Carparelli very well now, he really is as passionate about his making the guitars as I'm about me playing them. And so it's good. So I've now used their guitars exclusively, and I use the givers at home when I want to.
Oh, that's absolutely magic. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your interaction with fans, because I noticed that you also have a bit of a blog thing that you have going on, and I noticed that for the last few days even, because you obviously keep it fairly up to date. How important is it you keeping the fans like that? Because it's a pretty cool thing to do. I
think if you're going to use, if you're going to embrace the media, you might as well use some of the great things about it, and that's one of the things that we can do. I just tend to write the blog, write the daily tour things, what happens to us, because we do pack into, 2 weeks what some people pack into 2 years, if you like, because we're touring and we're going to see in all these countries, just over the last 10 days, one minute we're standing, in the Kremlin, the Red Square, and the next minute we're at the Wailing Wall in Israel, in Jerusalem, So it's quite a nice thing to write about it, and it also is, it's a good. I'm a writer anyway, so I just like writing, so it's just a natural thing for me to do a blog whereby I document what the band does, and people get an insight to our life a bit more than maybe normally, and I put that up on my website, and also I've got a cancer charity up there that I call The Shirt Off My Back. We started with, I'd have a stage shirt for a tour, say a 3-month tour, and then I'd auction it off to the highest bidder, and the money goes towards cancer. But that's grew now, to wah-wah pedals, to guitars, to shirts, to all sorts of stuff, which is great because it's raising money for cancer. So doing the blog draws people into that website, and then they can join in the auction if they feel they want to, And since then, I've started recently doing an audio one on a thing called iPadio, which is I'll just speak a few sentences of where we are and what's happening and everything else. And if you go on their website now, or even on Facebook, you'll find one on saying that, I've just arrived back from London and I'm starting at 9 o'clock for 2 hours of interviews. So, it's just letting people know where we are and what we're doing. It's really cool.
Well, that's it. And as a fan, I mean, it's really neat to have that sort of thing going on. And
I think it's so easy to lock yourself away from that, and not be involved, and I think it's a lot better if you do. And I think people appreciate that a lot. And it's amazing that when I travel the world like we do in 58 countries, I'll be in the most bizarre place, and somebody will come up and tell me they can't wait for the next blog, and that's really cool.
Well, that's right, and like I say, as a fan, that's something that we sort of appreciate, having that connection. And it gives you another connection to the band, and the fact that you guys are a band is so much, it just shines through a whole lot more. We've got very
We've always
little
been a people's band anyway. We've always been a people's band, so and we always make time for our fans, and I think that's all very, very important. I think you can get lost in your success, and so a lot of people do, I'm afraid. But we're not one of those people. We're very grounded.
Well, that was it, and that was something I noticed when I talked to Bernie, was the same sort of thing, that he talked about how you guys as a band go out for dinner and you stay in the same motels, you go on the same bus, go on the same, it's very much that band thing, which, it's absolutely critical.
It's a complete unit, it's a family away from our families, and it's very important that, I think that's very important. Because you start driving wedges between each other, then really you're out there to share it and enjoy it together.
Well, that's absolutely, that's it in a nutshell, and it's absolutely brilliant because it comes through in the music. I've got one last question
music,
for you.
It comes through in everything you do, how you present yourself and everything, and how you react on stage. You look at us on stage, we're smiling all the time because, we love doing it. We've got a passion for it.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant, mate, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, one last question for you before we go, and that is words of advice for young people.
Advice? Well, I think the obvious thing is practice, isn't it? But that's a bit cliched. But I'll tell you what I'd give anyone advice to do, and that is to try and find your own individual style. You really do have to work hard at finding your own individual style, because then you stand out from the pack. It's no use following the pack. You have to find something that makes you special. And I think I can only describe that as, as when I started playing guitar and I was coming through in the London scene, I didn't play like Richie Blackmore. Richie Blackmore didn't play like Tony Iommi. Tony Iommi didn't play like Jimmy Page. None of us were the same. And the same applied to the bass players, the drummers, the vocalists, and the keyboard players. And it was the sum of those parts that gave each band its individual flavour. What happens nowadays is people go into guitar schools. They come out 2 years later all playing brilliantly, but you can't tell one from the other. And there's been no attention in that learning process to the individual, which I think is a real shame. And therefore, it ends up like a jigsaw puzzle. You can take one piece out and put another piece in, you wouldn't even know it changed. You know what I mean? Put that musician there, put in with that one, you'd never know it changed. So there's not enough attention to the individual. So, find your own style, develop your own thing, and work hard at it, and it will come good. You have to have that spark of originality, though. But otherwise, everyone's chasing the same rainbow.
That's dead right, mate. Hey, thank you so much for your time today, Mick. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait.
Thank you, mate, and we'll see you out there, will we?
Too right, you will, mate.
Fantastic, mate. Thanks for your support as well, because spreading the word is always a good thing.
Oh, mate, we try to do our bit, mate, and
happy days,
support
mate.
Bands like you, it's not
this program was produced and
so
first aired on Access Manawatu with support
from
from
New
New Zealand On Air.
Community Access
Manawatu is a non-profit radio station.
We exist to help people from Manawatu make programs just like this one.
All of our shows are free to listen to and free to make.
If you like what you hear and you'd like to help us make more,
You can donate through our website.
go to www.accessmanawatu.co.nz and click on the donate link on the front page to help us keep on giving people their fair share of the air.
National and international on Access Man.